I have another Why Basic Strategy video for you today, and in this video we're going to talk all about our hands where we have a 6 as the dealer's up card, right? I want to do this because, so all three of the ones we're going to do today have a 6 here. Now I want to do this because this presents some of the most interesting opportunities for card counters, as oftentimes we can either, double or split or get some more money on the table when the dealer has a 6, as we're often in an advantageous situation. All right, so we're going to kind of talk through the math behind some of these hands as to why you do or don't do certain things. Starting off here with a soft 19 versus a dealer's 6. All right, and for each of these, I'm going to also kind of get half, or not half, a quarter, I should say, of a deck list out here. Let me spread that a little bit better for you, so you can see these. So this is just the 2 through ace of spades, again representing 1/4. Because we use a balance count with a high-low count here, it doesn't really matter the number of decks that we use, as this represents 1/4. So take that times 4, that's gonna be 1 deck. Take that times 6, you got a 6 deck shoot. All right, so either way, we should balance out with our count, and so this kind of is a good small sample size that represents what you're going to see in regards to kind of the math and how that should work. So anyway, for example, what I mean by that, if I kind of just put these off to the side, like I said, every dealer's up card today is going to be a 6, and so with a 6, first off, why is that advantageous for us? Why is it a good thing, I should say? And that is because the dealer is very likely to bust when they have a 6. Right, to show you that, let's just kind of look at kind of what cards would bust them. And now obviously they need their one underneath plus one more, right? Even if this was the highest card, an ace, and a lot of tables like H17 tables, they would have to keep drawing at that point, and so the hand would not be over with just a single one more card, right? You would need at least 2. Okay, the most common card, of course, is a 10. Now, there's only 4 of those out of 13, but it is the most common. Every other card has a different value, but if they were to draw a 10-10, they would bust. All the way down to, let's say they draw like an 8, and a 10, all right? That'd be a 14, another 10, they would bust. If they drew a 6 for 12, right, a 6 and a 10, they would bust. If they drew a 6 for their first card, and then a 9, all right, now all of a sudden you have 21. But there's a lot of variations of what they could potentially draw that will bust their card, or bust their hand, I should say. Even if you draw like, a 3, and then their next card is a 7, well, now they just have 16, and they have to draw an additional card, and then maybe, they pick a 9 or something, and that would bust them. So the reason, let's put those right in the back order, the reason that the dealer is very likely to bust here is they have a lot of possibilities for drawing cards that will bust them. And hopefully you can kind of see that list out here. Now, can they make their hand? Absolutely, they can, but they're more likely to bust than any other card when they're starting with a 6. All right, so that said, let me pull these back for us. And let's look at this first hand here. This is going to be a soft 19 versus a dealer's 6. And we also want to look at our hand when this happens. And basic strategy says that a soft 19 versus a dealer's 6 in an H17 game is going to be a double down. So if you have a $25 bet out there, you would double that and you would get exactly one more card. Okay, if it's an S17 game and the count is 0, which it still would be if you have an ace and a 6, then you would stand on this hand. All right. In fact, there are deviations for this hand that are above and below 0, depending on which game you're playing, whether S17 or H17. Just to really oversimplify it, if the count's more negative, you are more likely to stand. If the count is more positive, you are more likely to double down. Why would that be true? Well, if you think about what happens in positive counts, we have more 10 valued cards and more aces. All right, either one of those, if I were to pull a 10 valued card here, what does that do to my hand total? If I were to double down with a 10 valued card, instead of 19 now, soft 19, now I'd have a hard 19. So the total didn't change. All right, and there's 4 more of those in the deck, or 4 of those, I should say, in a deck. And then in positive counts, there's even more 10 valued cards. All right, if you pull an ace, which is also kind of in those positive values that you get with those positive counts, this takes it from a soft 19 now to a soft 20. Okay, again, increasing your hand, so even making it better. All right, now, if you double down and you get a lower card, this is going to decrease your total. For example, if I start with a soft 19 and I pull a 3, well, if this is a soft 19, now 20, 21, 22, that doesn't work. I got to go back down and count this as a 1. So now it'd be 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, you can't take off 10 there. And so unfortunately that would lower your hand total. But remember, we would do that in those higher counts, hoping for high cards. But even if we don't get it against the dealer's 6, the reason we weigh that decision and risk the extra bet there is because the dealer is still very likely to bust. All right, and so let's just kind of go through this and just see how many cards would help us and how many would hurt us as far as improving our hand. Okay, let's see. So we said a 2 here, that would give us 21. That's good. All right, so this is a good one. A 3 would give us 12. A 4 would give us 13. This would give us 14, 15, 16, 17. And a lot of times it's that 17 range where I start to be okay with landing in that range and standing on that, which if you take one more card when you double down, of course you have to. You can no longer hit or stand or do anything. You just are done with your hand, right? And so with that, if that's true, then if I want to get into that range of 17 or higher, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you want to get to 18 or higher, some people, that's what they like to do. I know I've heard that 18.5 is kind of the magic number for some people. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Regardless, 8 or 7, whether you include that or not, that is more than half of those cards. And then positive counts, of course, you would have even more high valued cards. And so that is why the extra bet is worth it. Okay, so that's kind of the math behind that first hand there. And of course, with all of these, the dealer's hands, like I said earlier, we know that they're very likely to bust, and we kind of showed you why that was true. All right, let's look at our next one today. And let's see, get this back here for you. Our next hand is going to be a pair of 10s versus a dealer's 6. This one's kind of been, people haven't been too happy with me with this particular hand on my Instagram page, so you can go check out those arguments if you want. But a pair of 10s, what does basic strategy say for any dealer's up card when you have a pair of 10s? Of course, that is to stand. All right, that's to stand, but this hand does have some deviations. All right, now real quick, why would I not want to split these if my count is 0? Let's just go with a neutral count here. I don't want to do that because 20 is very hard to beat, right? There is only a couple of cards here, or maybe some combinations of cards you could pull in order to get that. And especially against a dealer 6, no matter what I pull, if I were to split these, I am standing. All right, and so really there's only an ace that you could get that is going to better your hand as opposed to having that 20. Now, that said, it is mathematically advantageous, I should say, to split your hand when the true count is +4 or higher against a dealer 6. Now, what does that mean kind of as far as our little simulation here goes? Well, if you think that a true count of +4, that means that we have one extra high card per deck in terms of our ratio. All right, so if this is a fourth of a deck, or I should say we have 4 extra high cards, right? So a true count of +4. And so if this is a fourth of a deck, that would be one more high card kind of added in here. And so then all of a sudden, let me see if I can get a high card in here for us. Here we go. I'll just throw this one in there. So then all of a sudden our normal 13 cards kind of looks like this instead, where we have one extra one in there. Now again, it's a true 4, but this is just a quarter of a deck, so really those 4 cards are split amongst these 13. So you can kind of think of it that way. So why is it advantageous now to split? Well, let's look at which cards would land us in that helpful region again of kind of 17 or higher. And we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of the 14 now. No longer 13 because we have that extra high card that's in there. All right, again, if you don't like This 17, if you want more of like 18 or higher, that's still 2, 4, 6, 8 out of that 14. Again, more than half. And so therefore it is probably better to split those at that true count. Now, some people choose not to split their tens, and you are giving up a little bit of expected value, or EV, if you do that when the count calls for it. But a couple things here. One, you're probably not going to lose your hand, especially against a dealer 6, right? But you might, kind of lose out on some more opportunities, especially with, usually do this with at a +4. So you probably have a big bet out there, maybe like $100 if you're betting greens, or $400 if you're betting black or something, right? Or possibly higher if you have the bankroll for it. And so that could potentially be a lot of good hands that you are wasting, especially if the dealer busts. That could be hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you choose not to do that. But let's say, again, it's a true 4, you have 4 greens out. You're probably not going to lose this hand. The dealer, they could draw a 5 and then a 10 or something and get a 21, sure. But you're probably not going to lose. But 2 is that at your local casinos, if you don't want to draw a whole lot of heat, then you might not want to split your tens there. And it seems like regardless of the situation, 10s versus 4, 10s versus 6, 10s versus whatever, that seems to be relatively true, as to a lot of people like to kind of keep their locals and not draw that suspicion. Now, you will probably draw heat eventually. And so what I like to do is, when I'm on trips, is if the count calls for it, I'm going to split my tens. Right? Maybe not the first day of a trip, but for sure the last day, maybe the second to last day, because that hand, if I split it, all of a sudden, let's say I'm maybe my bankroll allows for, I have $1,000 out there and I split, I get another 1,000, maybe I get another 10, I split, that's all of a sudden that's $3,000, where that could make up for hours and hours of my, my playtime if I split those, as opposed to just standing and just getting, maybe an additional 1,000. Now, could that go horribly wrong for you? Yes, it could. But again, we're playing this game over the long run, and so you have to weigh those decisions for yourself. All right. Let's put those off to the side. We have one more hand today. Get another $25 out there for us. And this one is going to be a soft 13 versus a dealer 6, another soft hand. And let's check this one out. So again, dealer is very likely to bust. They say have the same odds of busting as long as our count still is at 0. But what about our hand? This is a soft 13. Now, a soft 13, every single card is going to, well, except for I think a 9, is going to improve our hand. A 9, instead of improving, this would now get us, if we take a card here, this would get us down to 12. So we do drop one point, I guess. I don't know if you call it points or not, but we would drop one number. And the rest of these, though, a 2 would increase our cards total. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, an 8 would give us 21. A 9 would drop us down to 12. But a 10, now all of a sudden we have 13 again, if I were to double down there. And same thing with all these 10 value cards, and an ace would get me to 14. So not too great. Here you're actually kind of pulling for some of these middle range numbers. But again, the dealer is pretty likely to bust in this case. And so that's why a soft 13 versus a dealer 6 has the basic strategy decision to double down and take exactly one more card. So kind of an interesting one there. Again, there's really only one card that can decrease your hand's total. If you want to land in that range of 17 or higher, let's look at that for a second and see if maybe that might determine some of your decisions. But let's see, what would I need here? So if this is 13, I would need a 4 to get into a 17 or higher. If I were to, put a card out and double down, take a 4, now I'd have a soft 17. So a 4, a 5 would give me 18, a 6, 19, 7 would be a soft 20, and 8 is a 21. So this time, if you think about this, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're really not really banking on your own hand is improving here. You're banking on the dealer to bust. And so this is one where you can really see kind of the power of a dealer 6, as basic strategy has you doubling down in a situation. because you are hoping that the dealer busts. So kind of take that into consideration. With a pair of 10s, we're really wanting to stay on that, as we want to keep that 20. The soft 19, kind of the same idea. There's a lot of cards with that one that will either keep your hand the same or increase or keep you in that range of 17 or higher. With this one though, you're really banking on the dealer busting, and that's why basic strategy has you play that decision. You can see that because when you take a 10 valued card there, the most common card, it keeps it as at a 13, which is a relatively bad hand. All right, so kind of take that for what it's worth. Hopefully you enjoyed this series. If you do, I want to tell you a little bit about where some of these numbers kind of come from and how you can practice them, and that's going to be with the Blackjack Apprenticeship membership. So I'm going to throw it over to myself and tell you a little bit more about that. So this is kind of their site here. This is the members side of things, and they do a bunch of free stuff as well, but specifically in the members site, they have access to a few of my favorite things I'll talk about. One is going to be the pro betting software. The pro betting software is essential if you want to be a card counter and do this thing kind of pro or semi-pro, because it allows you to throw in your own numbers, your own bankroll, whether the table is S17 or H17. All right, it kind of spits out what to do in a 1 to 8, 1 to 10, whether you're playing just one hand, whether you're playing two hands. And also it shows you that expected value versus the risk of ruin, right? And you very much need to know that, otherwise you could potentially go broke and lose all your money there at the tables. We don't want that to happen. All right, going back out here, a couple other things that Blackjack Apprenticeship has that I would want you to look at is, one is the Casino 411. If you ever want to take a blackjack trip, I would highly recommend that you check out Casino 411. It shows you not only how many tables, blackjack tables, there are at a specific casino, but also shows you the penetration on those tables, right? So whether they cut off one deck or 0.7 of a deck or half a deck or whatever, if you're playing double deck or something like that. And then sometimes the table conditions as well. Like if you kind of click into the reports, it might show you that a certain dealer is very fast or slow, and which ones to avoid, maybe certain times a day to avoid those things, okay? All right, and then the last part of Blackjack Apprenticeship that I personally really enjoy, they have a lot of other features too, but that's going to be the training suite. This is where I spend most of my time, and you can learn some of the different aspects of the game, like the running count, get really good at that, the true count, all right, maybe some deviations. Then when you're ready, my favorite part is the test out. This kind of gives you about 3 different shoes that you can go through and test your abilities playing with the correct bet spreads, all right, the correct decisions, the correct deviations, all right, and then it also evaluates all that. And until you can pass that at a pretty good percent of 100% every single time, I probably would not go to the actual casino until I can get maybe 5 to 10 100s in a row. That's my personal goal. If you want to be a little more risky, I suppose that's your prerogative. But those are some of my favorite things about Blackjack Apprenticeship. Okay, so one thing that I would encourage you to do is, if you are serious about getting that, or if you just want to look into it, I have a link down below this video that takes you to kind of my affiliate page with Blackjack Apprenticeship. I am an affiliate with them, so if you click on my link and choose to purchase, I do get a little bit of kickback. But also on that page, Colin Jones, the founder of Blackjack Apprenticeship, goes through some of the different things that you can find on that site, including the pro betting software, the training suite, like I mentioned, and some of the other cool aspects with a little bit of a video on each. So go ahead and check that out after this video. Some of those different aspects of Blackjack Apprenticeship I think are pretty awesome. All right, guys, hopefully you liked this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up for me, and check out Blackjack Apprenticeship down below this. And until next time, remember, this is A1 Blackjack.